Hi friends, how are you? So in this video, I would like to explain poem number 4 from the section of poetry. The name of the poem is Any Woman. The name of the poem is Any Woman. Actually, it is a poem number 4 in the syllabus, but according to the deducted syllabus, it comes in the place of 3. So whatever the number may be, just remember the title and the name of the poet. So the name of the poem is Any Woman by Catherine Tynan. Catherine Tynan. So here, while writing the title of the poem, just remember we will make a mistake here. WOMAN. Singular word is used, not the plural word. The plural spelling is WOMEN, women. It's woman. Got it? Right? And before going into the poem, it is common to know about some biographical details regarding our poetess Catherine Tynan. The duration is 1859 to 1931. Let's see. She was an Irish-born writer. That means she belongs to Ireland. She belongs to Ireland, known for her novels and poetry. She was popular through her novels because she has written more than 100 novels. She has written more than 100 novels that was popular across the globe. So thus she was identified. And her poems were first published in the year 1878. She was born in Dublin, in Ireland. So Dublin is the capital of Ireland. And she went to a convent school. And she came from an agricultural family. She came from an agricultural family. We can say she has a village background. So that is regarding her biography. And she wrote more than 100 novels. It is really a great work. So writing more than 100 novels by a woman, by a female writer, is not very common. It's a rare thing to happen. So that's why we can consider him as a greatest. Consider her as a greatest poet or novelist. And she also wrote 5 autobiographical volumes. So autobiographical volumes regarding the events and the struggle she has faced in her life. And she took the subjects, she took those events as the subjects in her poems. So that's why we can call them autobiographical volumes. So how many autobiographical volumes she has produced? 5. So these are the 4 details we need to remember regarding the poetess. And come to about the poem. So what she is going to tell us. And the present poem is a beautiful picture of woman in her extraordinary duties in the family. So we can say the poet is trying to extol the womanhood. Extol the womanhood. Actually, womanhood is a wonderful gift that is given by the God to a woman. So here it is a beautiful picture of woman in her extraordinary duties. So what kind of duties she performed at her home? What are the sacrifices she made for her family? And what are the work she is indulged in at home? And these are the things we are going to learn through the poem Any Woman. And see the next thing. It is an inspiring poem. It is an inspiring poem. Here the poetess tried to inspire the women by saying the importance of womanhood. This poem celebrates glory of women. The poem celebrates glory of greatness of womanhood. So these are the 2 important things if you take the poem in a brief manner. So let's go into the poem in detail. The poem Any Woman is a poem of 6 stanzas, and every stanza has quatrains. So quatrains, in the sense, we have already learned, if a poem has 4 lines, if your poem has 4 lines, that is called quatrain. If it has 2, it is called couplet. So these are the literary terms related to the English poetry. So how many stanzas are there in the poem? It's a poem of 6 stanzas. And what the poem is going to teach us, the poem is going to teach us the importance of womanhood. And the poem is the glory of womanhood and the duties generally a woman performed. Here women, we can take her as a mother. So what are the sacrifices a mother do for the sake of her family? So these are the things we are going to learn. Let's enter the stanzas. Let's discuss the stanzas in details. I told you it is a poem of 6 stanzas. I have written 3 stanzas here. And see the first one. I am reading the stanza for your convenience, and listen to it carefully. Listen to it carefully, and I will explain every line, and if there are any difficult meanings, I will also explain them. So listen it. I am the pillars of the house. I am the pillars of the house. The keystone of the arch am I. The keystone of the arch am I. Take me away, and roof and wall would fall to ruin me utterly. Fall to ruin me utterly. I am the pillars of the house. Here the pronoun I refers the poet herself. So we can understand, in this poem the speaker is the poetess. The speaker is the poetess. Here the poetess says she is the pillars of the house. Generally the basement and the pillars are very important. They play a main role in building a structure, in constructing a building. So like that, she has a very important position. She has a very important position in a family. So that's why she compares herself as a pillar, as a base, So we can take this sentence as a metaphor. The term metaphor we have already discussed in the poem The Tables Turned. In the previous poem, The Builders also. In The Builders, the poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow compares human beings as builders, and the destiny and their future is a building. So if we compare two unrelated things without using the conjunctions like and as, without using the words like and as, that is called metaphor. It is a figure of speech. So likewise, here the poetess compares herself as a pillar, as the center of the building. So these are the pillars which supports the entire building. By constructing the pillars, we can finish the building. So that is the main role. That is the main role of a mother in a house. Okay, just see the second thing, the keystone of the arch. She is the keystone of the arch. An arch is a curved like structure which is constructed above a wall or a bridge to support the weight of a particular bridge or an entrance. So generally an arch looks like this, in a curved shape. So here the poetess compares herself as a keystone, So keystone is a stone that is used to connect the left part and the right part, and if we put a brick here, and that is the keystone. If you take away the keystone, the entire structure will fall down. So that's why he is telling himself how important a woman in a family. So that's why he compares himself as a keystone in the arch. Am I? The second line ends with a question. Am I? Isn't right or not? She is asking this. And see the third one. Take me away. The roof and wall would fall to ruin me utterly. To ruin me utterly. Take me away. If you take away, who will take away a mother from the family? Who will take her apart from the family? If she may die, that is called take away. And take me away and roof. If there is no mother in a house, the entire family will be spoiled. Will be spoiled. In order to explain this particular meaning, she is using this line. So if you take away the important things, important supports of a building, that is called, if you break a pillar or a basement, the roof and the wall will be collapsed. They will fall down. Like that, if there is no mother in a house, the entire family, particularly the children, will be spoiled in many ways. The children will be spoiled. So, through this stanza, we can understand a woman is important in taking care of her family, in looking after her children in a proper way. So, that is the importance of a woman or a mother in a family. So, in the first stanza, she tries to the importance of her position in a family. Okay, if there is no mother, the entire family will ruin. Ruin in the sense spoiled. Ruin means spoiled completely. As a building will fall down if you break the pillars. So that is the comparison, that is the metaphor here the poetess used. And come to the second stanza. I am the fire upon the hearth. I am the light of the good sun. I am the heat that warms the earth, which else were colder than a stone. I am the fire upon the hearth. So here she compares herself, the speaker is comparing herself with a fire. She is like a fire upon the hearth. So here the word hearth means a place that surrounded the mantelpiece, that surrounded a fire. So generally this kind of places we see in European kind of houses, because as the countries in the Europe are cold, they maintain a mantelpiece, they just maintain a fire, they construct a separate place for fire in order to get the warmth in the entire house. They maintain like this. So the place where the fire is burned, the place surrounding the fire, the mantelpiece, is called hearth. So the tiles or the place is generally warms when we try to sit there. It gives us relief from the cold. So like that, she gives relief to her family by taking care of them and by looking after her children. I am the light of the good sun. I am light of the good sun. And she is comparing herself as a light that is come from the sun. Here, the light means the facilities she provides to the family. We can compare here the household activities, the household drudge. she generally does at home. We can understand the cooking. She cooks food for the entire family. You can compare here. We can take the fire as cooking or preparing food. So she prepares food for the family. So this is one of the responsibilities a mother does to her family regularly. So that's why he compares herself as a light. We can take two meanings here. So one is she prepares food by putting the utensils on the fire, and she gives relief. She gives relief. When we sit beside or sleep in the lap of a mother, the children will get relief. Whenever we feel stress or whenever we feel a pain by physically or mentally, we just share. The children generally share their problems with her mother. Then we get relief. Like that, as light, as the fire gives us warmth, a mother gives us relief and peace. That's why she compares herself the light of the good sun. I am the heat that warms the earth. I am the heat that warms the earth. As the sun gives light to the entire earth, and she provides everything. She sacrifices her entire life for the sake of the family. And I am the heat that warms the earth, which else were colder than a stone. Here, the warmth is treated as also heat. When a heat is increased in a highest degree, it scorches us, we feel inconvenient. If you stand in the sun at 1 o'clock afternoon, how we feel? The sun is scorching. But here, not the same warmth we get from the sun at that time is not from the warmth we get from our mother. It is not compared. The warmth and the relief gives by our mother is colder than a stone. It will not scorches you. It will not burns you. It just gives you relief. That's why the warmth is compared as a colder stone. Colder stone. So that is what she is trying to explain through the second stanza. And this is also the second stanza expresses the duties what he performs in her family and for her family. And let's see the third stanza. At me, the children warm their hands, and their light of love alive. Without me, cold the hot stone stands, nor could the precious children thrive. So here, in this third stanza, the poetess tries to explain us the children will not grow, will not get a proper guidance without a mother. Because a mother takes more responsibilities regarding the children, of the children, than a father. That's why here she said, nor could the precious children thrive. So thrive in the sense grow, get the feeding. So at me the children warm their hands. Whenever we feel cold, we just go near the hearth and just get relief. Like that, whenever we have any stress or some problem, we just try to share with our mother. And I am their light of love alive. So she fills the family with love and affection. And these are the two things a mother generally showers upon her children. Showers upon children. So that's why she compares, I am the light of love alive. The love and affection what a mother shows on the children never dies. So without the cold the hearthstone stands, nor could the precious children thrive. If there is no mother at home, if there is motherless children will not grow properly, they miss a proper guidance and they may go in a wrong way if there is no guidance from their mother. Because mother feels more responsible than a father. And here we should understand the role of a mother, what she plays in a family. And we should recognize the sacrifices made by a woman. So thus, through these three stanzas, she glorifies, she extols the qualities and the sacrifices of womanhood. And let's see another three stanzas and what she is going to teach us, what she is going to share with us. Okay, let us discuss the stanza number 4. Stanza number 4. So I am reading for your convenience and say this. I am the twist that holds together the children in its sacred ring, their knot of love from whose close tether no lost child goes a wandering. And these are the 4 lines included in stanza number 4. Here the poetess expresses she is the twist. Here the twist in the sense, not the meaning of we generally see a turning point in a film or a movie. We are not talking about that twist. Here the twist is a material that is used between the doors and it helps to open or close the doors. And that is what the twist here. But according to the sense of the poet, according to the meaning of the poet, the twist in the sense, here the poet tries to explain the bond between a mother and her child, a mother and her family. Twist in the sense, bond, relationship. So she is the twist that holds together. She helps to get the family unite. She holds the family together by showering her love and affection on them. She tries to keep them together. She tries to keep the entire family together. So that's why the poet herself compares as a twist that is used to support, to open a window or a door or close a window or a door, like that. The children in its sacred ring. So as is said, she tries to keep them together and bind them together as beads in a chain, or a threads in a sacred ring. So here we can say that the relation between a mother and a child is sacred. The love and affection what she shows on her family is sacred. The relationship is sacred. Their knot of love from whose close tether. Their knot of love. So she keeps them together with love. With the love of a ring or love of a chain. So we can understand the chain is like a love and the beads that we put to that thread or a chain or the members of the family. So the eternal feeling of love, the sacred love keeps the family members together. That love is shown by a mother. And no lost child goes a wandering. So no mother wants a child a wandering and without a family. She is not talking about her family, but entire the children who are parentless. So everyone should get the mother's love. So that is what this particular stanza expresses. And come to the fifth one. I am the house from floor to roof. I deck the walls, the board I spread. I spin the curtains, raff and woof, and shake the down to their bed. So this particular stanza expresses the household work, the household activities generally done by a mother for her children. And she keeps the home neatly, she keeps the things in a house in a proper manner, and she prepares food for the child, and she arranges everything for her husband. If she has a mother-in-law or a father-in-law, and she takes care of them also. And these are the household activities, household chores she regularly does. And here the poet expresses what are the things she does in a house, what she performs. I am the house from floor to roof, and she is everything. She don't leave a small place to be unclean or unhygienic. So she cleans the floor from the floor to roof, and everything we can understand. And I deck the walls. So deck in the sense means clean. Deck in the sense mean clean and decorate. She keeps beautiful things. She decorates her house with her skills. The board I spread, I spin the curtains. See, a mother generally wakes up early than the other members of a family, and she tries to wake up others by spinning the curtains, by moving the curtains side and wrap and woof. And she just adjusts the bed after we wake up from the bed. We just get out of the bed. She just spreads the blankets on the bed, and she prepares the bed properly and shake the down to their bed. So we can see these are the household chores what a mother does for her children. She does everything, and these are the activities done by a mother. And then come to the last stanza. I am their walls against all danger, their door against the wind and snow. Thou whom a woman laid in a manger, take me not till the children grow. Till the children grow. In the concluding stanza, the poetess prays to God, don't take her away, not to take her away from the earth until her children grow, until her children do their things by themselves, do their things themselves. She prays to God. See, I am there, wall against all danger. Here, the mother is the safeguard. Mother is a guardian. She protects her children by standing before them when they get troubles and worries, when they face adversities in the means a bad situation, when they have any physical pain or a mental stress. By sleeping in the lap of a mother, we get peace and happiness. So that's why she herself presents as a guardian or a safeguard to a family. So that's why he said, see again, she is the wall. She is like a wall. She compares herself as a wall against all danger. She protects children from the danger, from adversity, we can say. She is the door. The door against the wind and snow. The wind and snow. Here, the wind and snow, we can understand the difficulties, the problems, the bad situations what generally face whenever they have any problem. They just get relief by sharing with their mother. So that's why she's compared herself as a wall against the danger, and she compared herself as a door against wind and snow. Here the things wind and snow refers adversities and dangers. Thou. Here the word thou means you. It is an archaic word. Archaic means those are the words, those are the literary terms in Old English, used in Old English. You. Here she refers God. She refers God, whom a woman laid in a manger. She is claiming, though I am doing all these things, I am sacrificing my entire life for the sake of family, to keep the family together, still a woman is not getting a proper place in her family and in the society also. Though I am doing this, my dear God, you put me in a manger. Here, the word manger indicates it's a trough. It's a trough where we put the grass to feed the animals. These kind of troughs we generally see in the stables. Here, stable mean STABL. Stable mean a place where horses are kept. The troughs will be like this. It's a kind of structure, and we put the grass in the box-like structure. Then the animals go to the trough and feed themselves. So here the trough indicates a low position, and we are treating a woman like an animal sometimes. Some people treat a woman like that. That's why, and she grieves. Thou, whom a woman laid in a manger. She is feeling sad for the position some woman having in a society. Though womanhood is a gift, great gift given by God to her, men are not respected. Men are not honoring. Sometimes she is not recognized properly. So whatever it is, in the last line she says, take me not. She requests the Almighty, the God, not to take her away till the children grow. So how a selfless woman. We can understand the unconditional love a mother shows towards her children. What she is saying to here, so take me not till. And here the poet says that she allows the God to take her away when her children go, when her children has grown. But she requests the God not to get her away from the house. Don't separate her from her family, because she has a lot of responsibilities, what he has, and she has a lot of sacrifices to do, to make for the sake of her family and her children particularly. So thus the entire poem glorifies the womanhood. And also in the last stanza she expresses, though a woman is sacrificing her entire life for the sake of her family, she is not getting a proper position and she is not respected in her family and in the society also. Thus she extols the glory of womanhood. That is the meaning of the poem of Any Woman, which has 6 stanzas. And let us see how many annotations are given at the end of the textbook. Here we have 4 annotations and 2 paragraph questions are given in the textbook, and I am marking the lines here, and in the first stanza, the last two lines of the first stanza. Take me away, and roof and well would fall to ruin me utterly. So we can begin the answer as we have written, like in our first year. These lines are taken from the poem Any Woman, written by Catherine Tynan, who is an Irish-born writer, popularly known by her poems and novels. She has written more than 100 novels. So in this poem, the poet tries to glorify the womanhood and explain the bond between a woman and her family in the heading of context, and in the heading of meaning or explanation we can give the complete details, right? And this is the annotation number 1. You can mark these two lines, take me away and roof and wall would fall to ruin me utterly. So as I said earlier, if a mother is taken away, if a mother is aparted from the family may not guided in a proper way, the children will be spoiled. And if you see the second annotation, the second annotation is taken from stanza number 3, the two lines of the stanza number 3. Without me cold the hathstone stands, nor could the precious children thrive. So the content is very familiar to the first one. You need not to repeat. You need not to write a special annotation and context. You can read the same context and same introduction, same reference for all the 4 annotations. And if you see the third annotation, it is given in the 4th stanza. I am the twist that holds together the children in its sacred ring. That is the third annotation. So when we see the 4th annotation is given in the last stanza of the first 2 lines. I am there, wall against the danger, the door against the wind and snow. And these are the 2 lines as given as 4th annotation. So these are the 4 annotations that are given at the end of the lesson, and we need to prepare 4 out of 4. And 2 paragraph questions are also given at the end of the poem, and we can write the central idea and the status of women in a society. And these are the 2 questions that are asked at the end of the poem. And this is about what the poem Any Woman teaches us, written by Catherine Tynan. So remember, it is a very easy poem to understand, and the answers will be also very easy to write. As you did in the first year, the same presentation will be carried out by you in the second year also. There is no change of pattern regarding the theory section. We follow the same subheadings, but the content is different according to the lesson, according to an essay or according to a poem. We use the same headings: reference, context, meaning or explanation, and general relevance. So these are the 4 headings. Didn't you remember? Hope you have remembered these 4 headings when we answer the annotation. So these are the 4 annotations you must prepare, and I will provide you the answers. The first annotation answer is given in the textbook. You may read for yourself. If you go through the entire poem again, you understand the things better. Hope you enjoy the video, and thank you very much for watching.